Hi, and a very warm welcome to you from Homemade TV. As you can tell, it's homemade, isn't it? Because all of a sudden I realised I dropped the wrong button and things didn't quite work as I intended them to. But it's one of those things that happens here. My name's Chris Gosling. Today is Wednesday, the 12th of August 2020, and it's 11 o'clock, so it must be time for our show. And I didn't switch something on, so it stayed switched off until I switched it on. Never mind, what have we got today? Well, the weather, as you know, has been stinkingly hot over the last couple of days, so I haven't done one or two of the things that I should have done. But having said that, there you go. We do what we can, and I actually also suddenly realised that there's something else I haven't done. One of those things, isn't it? Because I find that the issue really, I'm just taking a moment to do this. There we go. The issue really is that stuff happens, and you kind of react to the stuff that happens, and then the stuff that you'd planned to do kind of goes adrift. It's one of those things that I guess rolls out, and such is life. Who have we got online today? Let's see who we've got. Clive Tucker. Well, a very good morning to you, Clive Tucker. Good morning to you. Nice to see you there. Hope you're doing okay. What have we got for you today then, Clive, and hopefully others? Well, we've got quite a few little stories, but they're not wildly exciting stories, I would say. The first one is really a disappointing story for retired people who have holidays planned. There's all kinds of stuff, as you know, going wrong in the world, and the cruise lines are particularly hard hit, let's say. Although cruise lines, well, I've never had a cruise holiday in my life. I probably won't have one. But who knows? The reality of all this stuff, cruises, long holidays, foreign holidays, it's all getting too confusing for words. But Carnival have just said that two of their longest cruises that they have planned for next year are now being cancelled, which is really, I think, quite sad. There's a long term or a long itinerary, they call it in the trade, don't they? A long itinerary coming up in January aboard the Aurora. Now that's all been cancelled. And then there's a round the world trip on the cruise liner Arcadia. That's also been cancelled. And that's really bad news for our friends who we know who are cruise fanatics. There's a lot of them about out there, and I'm sad to say cruise fanatics, a lot of your cruises are still getting cancelled. It was also true to say that P&O have, part of Carnival, as you know, have also cancelled all their cruises until November the 12th. Now, there'll be no more cruising with them until November the 12th, and that may well go back again because the situation is changing all the time. We'll talk a little bit more about holidays, if you like, because there's another interesting little thought I wanted to bring to you. And this is the COVID-19 countries that are exempt from the Orbit Essential Travel Notice. The Foreign and Commonwealth Office has that. If you go to this website, I'll give you the link in a moment. If you go to this website, you will be able to find the full list of countries that you can currently travel to. But the issue with this is, of course, that it's changing on a week by week and possibly day by day basis. So if you have plans to travel, for goodness sake, do keep up with your knowledge of the countries that you can travel to, because it's quite likely that changes may happen overnight. Let's give you a couple of links at this point. Down at the bottom of this page, this is the link to the government's coronavirus countries and territories that you can go to. If you have got any travel booked, make sure you keep a big eye on this one because it's really important. And the other one at the top of the page, that's the detail about those two cruises from Carnival. The cruise around the world aboard Arcadia and the cruise around the Caribbean aboard the Aurora. So if you're on either of those, do be aware those two cruises have been cancelled, and goodness knows when they'll happen again, or if they'll happen again. We don't really know, do we? Okay, so that's that, and the government situation, that page there is the one where you can check out currently what countries you are permitted to travel to. I want to bring something else to your notice at this point, if you've got some holiday booked. One country that seems to be doing something a bit different that I've tracked down. I don't want to actually, how can I put it? I don't want to kind of publicise this too much, but I do want people to know. Some countries seem to be taking an interesting viewpoint on saying that if you go to their country, they will put special insurance routines and organisations at your disposal. One of those is Portugal. Portugal now seems to have, I found, a link to a website run by a Portuguese company who say they're offering coverage for foreign tourists who can't get COVID-19 insurance from their home countries. It seems like a really dodgy one to me. It seems like a good idea from those countries' points of view, but if the countries are not on the list of places that you can go to with the FCO's approval, then the whole thing seems to be quite complicated and quite worrying. What's happening is that the Portuguese insurance company says, yes, we can cover you, but of course, can they? We don't know. It's a difficult one. I'm going to come back to this next week. I will try and do some more information on this one if I can. I'm just going to go down and do something else I need to do. No, there was something else I haven't got plugged in. What can you say this morning? It's the hot weather and it's all getting on top of us. Okay, now this one, our final main story for today is this little chap. If you are in that age bracket, I think this is really very worrying indeed. And what they're talking about here is where is it? Yeah, if you are, my life has gone completely belly up here, chaps. Oh, I see. How interesting. What an issue. I have to confess that I have too much going on in my little life. And at that, there we go. Good heavens, things are working. And I hope that things will stay working. My apologies for that. And I'm going to come back to you now with this. Yeah, here we are. Heavens. Okay, the thing that I wanted to say about this is that it looks like the kind of scary story that you sometimes get in newspapers. This is actually in Telegraph. And what they're saying currently is that around 2.25 million people in this age bracket, 50 and above, have been put out of jobs essentially by being furloughed. But apparently there's a forecast that up to 377,000 of those furloughed jobs may not reappear as jobs again. The recommendation on this from the people who are talking about it is that if you are furloughed now and you're worried about your job, start looking. Really difficult, isn't it? I think that's a scary one. And I think this is, if you are in that bracket, in the 50 plus bracket, and you're in a job that you're a bit worried about, I really recommend that you maybe take a look at this page. It's a Telegraph article, and it's called 250,000 over 50s will never work again, coronavirus. If you're in that age bracket, have a look at that now, see what you think, and see whether there is anything you can do to improve your own prospects over coming weeks and months. I don't know what to say to you other than the obvious point. You know, it's awful and horrible, and whether you can find yourself a new job is an interesting question. I don't know. We're going to come back now to another story that I wanted to talk about as well, which is last week we actually put this up, and I plan to start publicising it on more widely than we have, in fact. But as of this weekend, I hope we're going to start publicising this petition a bit more to try and get, not necessarily, I don't know if I want to actually privatise the BBC all in one fell swoop, but oh dear, if I want to actually publicise, I want to publicise the fact that we've got something going on that we need to give the BBC a kick up the arse. The BBC, I think, is a wonderful organisation in many respects, but in some respects, it's just kind of outgrown the situation of its need. We need in the UK decent news services, which I think the BBC provides. But do we need all the volume of entertainment? What happens is that the BBC creates entertainment, which then goes downstream from the BBC to all the kind of bottom feeding channels who just buy other people's shows and re-show them. What we need is to get a bit more original programming and maybe work out some way of getting rid of all that BBC talent and getting it out into the real world where they have to work hard, make a lot more programming and actually fill our evenings with entertainment instead of 80% of the time at the moment recycled stuff anyway. But after coronavirus, who knows? But I do find the BBC's output pretty samey over time, don't you? And if you look at any of their kind of sub-channels, don't forget all the BBC runs a huge lot of channels on Sky commercially. Channels like Dave, channels, there's loads of them, and I'll try and bring you a number of them at some point. But the reality is that the BBC makes programmes for all those channels and spread them all the way down the line. And in reality, they're not additional content, they're the same content being shown again. So I have a little thing on the BBC. I would like to see the BBC made into a private company or corporation. I think it would do quite well on its own, although I think it'd probably be maybe a quarter of the size it is now. It is a monster, and it kind of overrules all of Britain's efforts to be a good TV country. There are so many talented people out there who cannot get in air. They should be doing my job doing this show. And the reality is that when you look at broadcast production, the UK is really good at it, and we should be doing more of it in a kind of commercial way, not in a state-sponsored way that hurts a lot of people who can't really afford 160 quid a year to pay for a TV license. Think about this one. Someone said this to me the other day. Think about this one. We pay, as pensioners, we get £100 a year fuel charge supplement. That's 1.5 times that fuel charge supplement has to be paid out to the BBC for their license. Where's the sense in that? Okay, what are we going to do next? Well, I've got a little video to show you that's just rather charming. I shot it the other day, showed someone, and they said, oh, you ought to show that. So here we go. It's a visit to a local town to us called Harwich in Essex. Very pleasant place. If you haven't been there, I suggest you go. Yeah, that's a nice afternoon out. Harwich in Essex. It's actually the town which was the home port of the ship Mayflower, that of course took the Pilgrim Fathers over to America in 1620, 400 years ago. It's their 400th anniversary of that event this year. The ship actually sailed from Harwich quite early in the year, June-ish time, and worked its way around to London and then down to Plymouth, and actually sailed for the Americas, North America, on, I think it was the 11th of September 1620. And the rest of the story we know. They took 2 months to get there. It was an awful, rough voyage, but they got there in the end. And someone said recently that they are the ancestors of 20 million Americans, which is an interesting number, isn't it? There you go. It's been a bit of a higgledy-piggledy show today, I'm afraid. I'm really sorry about that, because a number of things went wrong that I didn't expect. That were all my fault, of course. But hopefully you've got some interesting information out of it. We will be back on Friday, and we'll be looking on Friday a bit more at this insurance question, I think. If I can get a bit more of a solid kind of answer on how the insurances are working. I'll also get in touch with that company in Portugal and see what they're saying about insurance for Portugal that includes COVID-19. But in fact, judging from a quick scan, looks as if for most of the companies now are taking COVID-19 on board as a potential source of problems. So I'll come back to that one on Friday. In the meantime, well, I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you found it mildly interesting. I hope you enjoy it if you watch it on playback shortly. And in the meantime, I shall be off and do a little bit more work, but I'm also going to have a little bit more holiday, as it's a lovely day. My name's Chris. This is Homemade TV. It is Friday, the 12th of August, 2020, and we'll be back with you very soon indeed. Mind how you go.